classes and training and that kind of stuff, and prayers and audio. So.
Okay. Have you been doing Siddurim and color coding in your Torah portions?
I have not done that yet.
Okay.
But, Kamatz Katans and Shva Naz and Nas, those things I do.
Okay. Hi, Suzanne.
Okay,
Hi, Sharon, are you there and just don't have a camera? I see you have your mic turned off. I'm going to turn your mic on first. Oh, no, I can't. I'm not the host.
Right.
So.
Okay, sorry. I'm doing this on my iPad instead of on my computer so I can be on my DavkaWriter. So I'm a little bit slower at this than I have been. So.
Okay, so in any case, I'm gonna, I hope this will meet needs that people have and not just be stuff you already know. And so if it's too elementary or I'm too whatever, I mean, I'm doing some of the more sophisticated stuff that's in the program too. Okay, you've used Davka, but are looking to use it more specifically to put together a new machzor for high holidays. Color coding. Yes, the machzor, well, it's not available through DavkaWriter, but you can get it. They used to have it, what was the old one? Not DavkaWriter, the other program that it also was with a D.
Do you know what's happening since the company isn't around anymore, or is that not true? Or
this comes for DavkaWriter?
DavkaWriter, didn't they end their?
Not that I'm aware.
There?
You're right. There was a lag time, but they're back on. They're back online. They have everything ready to go, and they have updates. Is what
oh, great.
I think
it was bought by new owners.
Right.
Rachel just said. I'll find out about the machzor, but I do believe it is available. But just you have to buy it separately. Okay, I guess I'll begin. So what I'm going to do is share the screen and go right into Davka. And the place that I will start is just with these keyboard things. And the reason I'm even doing this, I used Davka for several years before I figured out how to do a shin and a sin with their dots in the right place. And I happened upon it by accident. So I just want to show you that if you press Control and bracket, so next to the P on your keyboard are the two brackets, and oops, you have to be in Hebrew first. Okay. So if you press Control bracket, let me make that bigger. So to get bigger, if you just click on this, or you can go however you like. So there's the shin, Control bracket, or opening bracket if you're in Hebrew, and Control closing bracket if you're in Hebrew direction is the sin. If you'd like a dagesh in it, then you have to do Control Shift, I believe. Oh, no, it's still Control, but it's the comma and the colon. Okay. If you want a dagesh, if you just press Shift, if you look down here at my keyboard, let me get an annotation. Okay, so if you're down here, if you press Shift, you will see, hold on, let me clear that now. Okay, you'll see that you get the dagesh. Shvanach and Shvana. So Shvanach, nach is easy, you just do number 8. And again, looking at this manual keyboard here, you have a choice of the numbers being numbers or nikudot. So right now it's set as nikudot. So if I press the number 7, I get a shva. If I press the number 8, I get a kamatz. So with the kamatz, let me this is what hold on. Okay, so 8 gives me my schwa, and I mean my kamats, and alt 8. Alt 8 gives me the kamats katan. For schwa nach and schwa na, it's 7 and alt 7. Cholam and shiruk are shift U, well, that's shiruk, and shift I. And then if you want the end of a verse of text, then you can do shift semicolon or shift colon, and you get the double dot colon that we're used to in Hebrew. Okay, so that's just basic stuff on the keyboard. Let me clear the annotation. So now I'm going to do something about preparing something for a bar mitzvah student. And we're going to go to tools. I never know how to get rid of this thing. Okay. Tools, and just so you know, we have here translate, so that if I have any word in Hebrew or in English and I press on this, it's going to translate it. There is a shortcut on the toolbar, and that shortcut is right over here.
Sorry, where was translate?
In tools.
Tools, got it, okay.
Okay, and it's also on your toolbar. It's a little A, it says Aleph and it says A.
Okay.
I have it highlighted right now. So let's say I write, what am I in? I'm in Hebrew. So let's say Baruch. Oops, what just happened? I didn't do that. Baruch. If I highlight it and I just press the A to thing, then I have, there's my translation. And that's very, very helpful.
Cool.
But if I want to go to a text library, here's what comes with the program, because again, things like the Machzor, you can purchase them, but they're not part of the program. The Haggadah also, I believe, is available. So if you prefer to have this in English, you just press to the English, and there's Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim. Okay, so here are your choices. They have Mishnah, Rashi, Ashkenazic Siddur, Sephardic Siddur, Parshat HaShavua, and Haftarot. So let's go to Tanakh. Let's say we want to go to Torah. Let's say we want Breshit. So here's the entirety of Breshit. So now my student wants to do, is going to do the first aliyah will be this. So I'm going to cut and paste into a new and paste it in. Oops. Now with pasting, oh, that's in a different, okay. We get it coming in here and it's left margin. If I just go up here on my toolbar to this arrow, I don't have to do anything more than that. Now here we have the numbers in the Aleph Bet. Some of the kids get confused by that, so I always change it. So I change it to 1, 2, etc. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because I am blind as a bat. Okay, now here I have a shvana. So if I want to mark it for the children, I'm going to use a macro. I can do it very easily by pressing backspace and then Alt 7. I have to be in the other thing. Alt 7. And there I have the bolded shvana. But if I go on this black toolbar, right now it's on styles. Styles gives us this toolbar that gives us the the two fonts of Hebrew and English, our sizes, and basic stuff. If I go to macro, and I want to be able to do a shva na, let's find one. Here's on V'ha'aretz, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this black dot, which works like a tape recorder, and I'm going to start recording. I will go backspace, Alt 7, and then I'm going to stop it. Enter a name, Shva Na. I can enter a description if I'd like. I'm going to save it. I already have one, so I'm not going to replace it. So if I want to go quickly through this, I can set it so that I can put the Shva Na as number 1, and I'm going to put the Kamatz Katan as number 2. So all I have to do is, here's another Shva Na, I just press number 1. Here's Tohu Vavohu, here's another Shva Na, I just press 1 up here in the left-hand side corner. I don't know when people have questions, so Robbie, are you going to let me know that?
I will let you know. And people can also unmute themselves and say, wait, Sharon, I have a question. Here's my comment. I'm going to be watching this again because you're going so fast for me. I can't, do it at the same time. So I'm excited about that. So.
Okay, I also made a handout that kind of goes through most of this. Now, I like to color code, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with using Trope Trainer. Now, there are two things I don't like about Trope Trainer. I don't like that everything has to be highlighted, and I don't like that you have to have spacing that doesn't give enough room to write. And it is because of those two things that I always do color coding on my own. So if I wanted to color code this, I'm going to go back to here. I have my own color coding, and for the Sof Pasuk phrases, I always use red. And, we could talk about that another day. So I'm going to put red in number 1 because that happens in every single sentence. So I made a macro that says text red. Let me walk you through those two. Let me just put this. I do green for the et machtav phrases. Now, I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, so let's say I wanted to highlight it or make a color macro. I'll take the part that I want to color. I have choices. I can color the words so that I can get something that the actual letters. I can highlight it. And leave the text alone so that it looks more like what you see in Trope Trainer. There are also two other ways that you can color code. You can color the nikudot and you can color the trope signs, and you have total control over what you want to color code. So if I wanted to create a color code, let's say purple for this Rivi'i, and I just wanted to color code the trope sign, I would go to where am I, to color code. I would go back to my styles on this black because that gives me these things here. And I'm going to go to my brain. I'm going to go to text color. That changes the color. And I can pick any color I want. If I'm not happy with the colors that I've picked, I can go to the whole rainbow and pick a color. But it's here, that color is highlighting. It's other colors that gives you the nikud and the trope. if you are actually typing in Hebrew and you want to add the trope symbols as you go, it will do the color coding for you. But let's say I want to make my nikud now purple. So I'm going to press purple, and I did the I did the vowels instead. And I don't know if you can see they're now purple. So you can do that if you like. I typically will do, using these, I'm going back to macro on this black. And so this is an etnach phrase color. I always do those in green. I have green as macro, quick macro 2. So there's my quick macro 2. And now those are in green. So if I wanted to do, I'll do this one in yellow. I just go to 3 and I'm all done. I want to do this one in green. I go to number 2. I'm all done. I usually do this in brown. It's number 5, and now it's brown. Any questions on that, how I'm doing that?
There was a question earlier, Sharon, from Sharon, who wants to know how to determine whether or not it's a shvana or shvanach. Sharon, please correct me if that is not the question. I'm not looking at that screen right now where your question was.
Okay, there are a number of ways to tell the difference. There are 5 rules that go along with well, there's a couple of rules that go on with the shva, but there are some tikkuns that actually tell you. Basically, if it's the first letter of a word with a shva, it's going to be a shvana. In the middle of a word, if it's a closed syllable, it's going to be silent. If it's the first letter of a syllable, it's going to be pronounced. But there are some rules that go along with that, and this isn't really a Hebrew grammar class. And so, Sharon, if you want to know, I can point you to a resource that has all those rules.
Sharon just wrote that she wanted to know if DavkaWriter knows that intuitively.
No, it does not. That's one of the shortcomings of Davka, in my opinion. And if they did that, I would think that in the text libraries they would have put it in, but they never did. So there's none of that. Maybe because it's a Hebrew program not specifically designed for English speakers. I don't really know the answer to that. Now it's time to create my tikkun. Let me go back to this. So I want to take out Parshat Breshit. I'm going to take out all the numbers. I'm going to take out all of the sentence ends. So these things you do have to do manually. You have to take out the mapik, and you have to go back to black. So, the long way is text color, black. Text, back color, white. So this is the long cut. There are shortcuts. You can make a macro. You can do however you like. So we need to remove the trope, and we need to remove the nikudot. So I'm going to go to Tools, Remove. You can do just the vowels. You can do just the trope. You can do trope except for the whatever. So I'm taking all the vowels out. Now, I need to take all this out, which I'm not going to take the time for right now. And I'm going to highlight it all, and I'm going to change the justification. So I go here, and I'm going to do, rather than justify on either side or both sides, I'm going to do something that says force. For the last line in here, I'm going to do a line end and do a right justification. And now I'm almost ready to create my tikkun. The last thing I have to do, oops, somehow I missed some of this. I have to move it. is that I'm going to change the font to STAM. Now, this is a little shortcut here. If you're working in a document with more than one font, once you use a font in the document, it stays in this little section that says recent Hebrew fonts. So I'm going to change it though to STAM. And let's say I want my endings to be here. I'm going to universally shorten that. Let's make it a little smaller. And now I have a tikkun for the kids. I often will go to, there's one tikkun book that shows the word endings for the lines, and I will often go to that as I make these tikkuns, whatever. Okay, so the next thing in this, let me just check.
Any questions before she goes on to the next section, everybody?
Do you do the, does this match the same version of this with the vowels and the tropes and everything? Can you do that easily?
I mean, you mean go back from this to vowels and tropes?
Yeah, so you have a version of with the vowels and tropes that matches this exactly where the position of each word is?
Well, the way that I typically do, the answer is yes, but you have to do it kind of manually.
Okay, I mean, that's what I do, but I didn't know if there was an easier.
I'm looking for, I thought I had open a numbers up here. So this is a typical thing that I give the kids. For some kids, the contrast is too difficult, so I give it to them in black and white. I give it to them in color. And this could drive you nuts. I give it to them in color, and then I give them the tikkun, give them a translation, etc. That's just how I do it.
Okay.
So that takes care of that. If there are no more questions, let me shut this one down so it doesn't keep coming up. So I like to make sidurim, and I like to make also PowerPoint tefillot. So I just want to show you very quickly what a PowerPoint tefillah is going to look like. Oops, I thought I kept the other one open. The URJ has a PowerPoint tefillah already done. I personally don't like it because it doesn't have pictures, but I imagine that there are many other people who would prefer to not have pictures because we don't want to take any chance of people misreading that we're giving any images of God or anything like that. But I love to use the images. I like to have the Hebrew, the English, the transliteration, and the translation. So you can make it very, very pretty. And I take the Hebrew directly from Davka. The one thing though, not all of the characters work in every single font. And different computers and different PowerPoint versions will work with different fonts. So you often have to manipulate, which is one of the things I'll show you for both the Siddur and for the other. So in terms of a Siddur, I don't know how many of you are aware of this, that there's a setting that will make a booklet. You type the order of the pages as you would put them, but the machine figures out how to divide them so that you come out with a booklet. So to get that, what you do is you go into page setup and you make a document, a booklet with 2 pages per side. So that's a really wonderful tool that many people are not aware of. So that when I printed this out, it came out with page 1 and page 20 on the same piece of paper so that when I made a booklet, it worked out. In terms of Oops, I don't need that anymore. In terms of pictures and graphics, bringing graphics into DavkaWriter is a pretty easy thing. Just insert graphics, and they have a lot of clip art. I typically use my own clip art, but let's say I wanted to just do an alphabet cluster. There it is. So what are my choices with that? I have a lot of choices. I can size it. You can size it so proportionately, or you can size it not proportionately. The easiest way to go about it is to go to these handles on the corner. If you want to do proportionally, you have to be in a side corner and do it that way. If you want to make this narrower, you go to a middle one, or if you want to stretch it out, you go to a bigger one. If I'm writing in my document, as you can see right now, it's set to avoid the graphic, and then it starts writing the whole line once you're done with the graphic. But let's say that you wanted this to go through the graphic, which sometimes happens. So you right click and you go to, oops, where is it? Oh, you have to click on the graphic. Then you right click and you go to, where is it? You go to this top part here. You can wrap around the text, which is where we are. You can have the picture behind the text. Now I can bring it forward, bring to front, or oh, the picture is to the front. So I have to send it to the back, send to back. I don't know why what happened here. I keep having to move things. Okay, oh, here we are. So the text is now in front of the graphic. Or you can make it a part of the text, and then the writing happens at the very bottom. I use different ones of these for different purposes. Now, let's say I had a picture of somebody. Let me go back to this document. Let's say I have this picture of this young man, and I wanted to have him look the other direction. I can use flip vertical. Well, I didn't want him to do that. I wanted to flip horizontal. I can rotate it to the right. I can rotate it to the left. I can rotate any angle I want. So if I wanted just to rotate to a particular angle, then I can do it in degrees, or I can simply, you have to rotate it in degrees. So it's another program where you can do it on a handle. So that's how you bring a picture in. Now let's say that I want to do a particular prayer. So let's say I wanted to do Givrot, and I don't want to go searching through the whole Ashkenazic Siddur to find it. So if I type out Afar, which I'm not sure how to spell, I think it's with an I-N. And I picked that word because it's not in so many prayers. So I would do, oops, Afar. Okay, so I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to go to Tools. Sorry, I'm going to go to Edit, Find in Files. Oh. This is a lifesaver. Find in Files. Okay. I can go to the Tanakh, but I don't want the Tanakh. I want the Ashkenazic Siddur. I want, I'm going to put my word in here. Oops, that's not my word. That's the thing I just typed somehow. Okay, so I'm going to type afar, and I'm going to press find. And miracle of miracles, here it is in all of the texts that they offer us in DavkaWriter. So I look, is this the prayer I wanted? No. Is this the prayer I wanted? No. And I would just go, here we go. Umatir asurim umakayem emunato. And I'm going to press on this arrow, and there's my prayer. Isn't that nice? So now, I'm just going to do something with that prayer alone. It gave me a heck of a lot more of that service, but it gave me just to start there. There is a way to get down there faster, but blah, blah, blah. I don't know why it didn't just, okay. It gave me the whole thing. Wait a minute, let me go back. Okay, so now I went to the wrong one. Now I want to format it. So the first thing I want to do is I also want to have the transliteration. So I'm going to cut and paste this part of the prayer that I want to format, copy, and I'm going to put it into my document. I'm going to do a right justification, which I can do with these arrows too. I'm going to save it as test or text, whatever, on my desktop. And I'm going to make it larger because, again, I can't see. I don't like this font, so I think I'll do something fancy. So maybe I'll do Karen. Oops. And here's my font. I'm going to type my transliteration directly under it.
So you have to hand do this. There's no transliteration.
No, there is. You can purchase it.
Okay.
I didn't because I type fast and I have it all done anyway.
Right.
Can't.
Question for you. You are using, and the way you said right click, you must be using the Windows version of DavkaWriter.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm using the Mac version of DavkaWriter. And it's Debbie Ballard, who does a tremendous amount of work in DavkaWriter, said that she cannot stand the way the Mac one works. She uses Mac for everything, so she has Windows within her Mac computer. And so she uses the Windows version on her Mac. Does anybody else use the Mac version of DavkaWriter? Anyone here? Oh, you guys are all Windows people. It's so funny. Okay.
Okay.
Some things you're doing, I'm not able to do. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay. So now there are a number of things that we could do. We can use what's called a power style for our document. I've got an English paragraph and I've got a Hebrew paragraph. So I'm going to highlight all of this and I'm going to go again on this black tool to power style. I'm going to create a power style. So, oops. Where's the create? I'm going to go create new style. I'm going to call it Sidor 1 for my style. And I'll give it a description, prose. And I'll show you why I'm doing it that way in a minute. Now I choose all the attributes that I want in those paragraphs. It automatically put in what I just had. So I didn't do anything fancy here. It gave me my 24 points, gave me my text color of black. I'm going to do my Siddur in color, so I'm going to make all of my Hebrew text be brown. I mean, all of my English text be brown. And so this is now my standard style for certain paragraphs in my Siddur. So I press OK. Now I go to Siddur 1, and I've got that. Now I'll type something else, and it's automatically in that style. But let's say I did something like this. I'm going to go to text style plain. I'm going to type. Oh, it should have taken it back. I guess it doesn't take the color out. So let me take out the color. I'm going to leave it black. If I now apply my power style, Siddur 1 Prose, I'm going to use it by pressing this red button. And oh, the red button gives you a choice to create a hotkey. And a hotkey works similar to the shortcuts that I showed you in the macros. The hotkey gives it so you just have one keystroke or two keystrokes in order to access this. I'm going to do Shift P for Shift Prose. And I'm going to save that. Oops. Oh, sorry, I have to create that first. I'm going to modify my style. Where is... I'm sorry, okay, so I apologize. I can't, I have to modify this still. Modify style. There should be a place for you to put in the hotkey thing, and I don't know where that is, but normally you can. Where was the hotkey? Ah, here it is. So I'm going to put in for this new. Here's my how I do my new. Oh, not new text style. I want to do my hotkey. Oh, there we go. So you highlight that, you go to here, and for the text, my hotkey is going to be Shift P. And for my paragraphs, if I want to do a whole paragraph at a time, it's going to be Control P. So I created my own shortcut. So now I'm going to press my red button, press Shift P, and it should be brown now. Ah, it didn't work. You get the idea. I'm not sure what I did wrong, but it's basically what I showed you. I'm not sure exactly where I messed up a step, but now I'm going to go forward anyway. Now I want to put this into columns. I want my Hebrew on the right-hand side, my transliteration on the left-hand side. You go up to this toolbar where it says Set Columns. I'm going to create 2 columns. I'm going to have them be equal heights, and there's going to be a ½ inch space between them, and the 2 columns are going to be 3 inches each. Uh-oh, I don't want it that way. That's Hebrew on the wrong side. So I'm going to go back to my columns, and I'm going to say flow from right to left. Now, I still have Hebrew that went onto the other column. So I have a lot of choices on what I can do, but I'm just going to make this bigger for now. That's too big. And I'll add a space here. And now my lineup of Hebrew and English are on the right side. But I really don't want it to look like this. This is too big. What I'd really like is to line up my words on the Hebrew side with the English side. So I'm going to go back and put a line space where I want them to break. No, wait. Mechalkelim b'chesed, mechayei metim b'rachamim. You get the idea. So what I'm going to do now is go up here and I'm going to change my line spacing. That's too much. So I'm going to go back to single spacing and I'm going to use these points. And I'm just going to stretch it until I have where I want it to go. Now I had added that extra line, so it's time to take that extra line out and continue adding points until I get the lines to line up. And now it lines up. The reason it didn't all line up has to do with the fact that there's a line break here. Now I decide I want this to be all caps. So I go to a small caps, which is, I go to Style, and I go to Small Caps, and now I have it completely different. But I don't like the way that looks, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to undo, and up here is the undo button. Cut and paste. Okay, now I want to create a title for this section, and I want to do it in Hebrew and English. So I'll write Giver wrote. What am I in Hebrew? I'm in English right now. No, I'm in Hebrew. Giver wrote. And my spelling is whatever it is. And I'll write, now I'm going to go to English. To switch back from language to language, in case you're not aware, it's right up here. You press E for English, IN for Hebrew. So now I'm going to write Give a wrote. It should have given me a thing that said, do you want to change the paragraph direction? And normally it gives that to you. It didn't here, but if you get that, again, you just press that button. So now there are a number of ways for me to have it so that the Giver wrote is a right alignment in Hebrew and left alignment in English. I can do it with tabs. Oops, I have to do it here though. Now, if you want to do a tab and you're in two languages, you have to know which way your cursor here is headed. Right now it's headed in the Hebrew direction. So now I'm going to get my, oh, it thinks it's in the column. That's the problem. So I'm going to keep going until I get near where I want to go. And what I'm going to type in now is force. It's still not where I want it to go, so I'm going to space it till it gets there. And now I see what the problem is that my thing here is my margins are a little off here. Let's say I want to have a special style for this. Let's say that rather than doing it this way, I'd like to do a text box. So I'm going to insert text box. And there are text box settings. I can have borders or no borders. I can have colors or no colors. I can have how bright or how translucent I would like my text box to be. Color. Let's say I want my text box to have that. I have a pink border. I have a number of styles I can choose from, and I can set a width, but you don't have to. I can set a margin, but you don't have to. You can have shadows that come around the text box, and you can look at the other pieces of this. But let's say every time I have a title, I would like it to be in a text box. So what I'm going to do here, this is what they had as the default. I don't like it, so I'm going to stretch it out. And I use the grid that they provide here, and I'll shorten it, and I'll just cut and paste this. Okay, and now I'm not happy with it yet because I want it to look different. So now my choices are to set this as a style using Power Style, or I can set what I want as the standards for the text box, and those are set at this moment. So now I want another text box. If I do Insert Text Box, it's going to give me the same text box that I had before. No, it's not. It took it away. You have to save the settings, which I didn't do. Sorry about that. If you don't want borders, you can do that. If you want to have this have a different font, you can do that. Let me see what else I need to cover. I think that's plenty. Are there questions?
Good time to ask that because we're down to the last.
Right, I looked at the time and I saw that.
Hey Sharon, back to when you had created that document where you took out the vowels and the trope and everything else, and then you saved it. And I think somebody else asked, can you then go back to that little menu and unclick those boxes so that those symbols come back?
The only way you can do that is if you do it immediately using the undo. Once you take away the trope and the trope and the Nikudot, if you can, I'm not aware of it. Okay. So I don't know that you can't, but I've never had a reason to look for that. Okay. So, but I don't think it does.
Okay.
Other questions?
Do you give private lessons?
Sure.
Maybe at our next conference we can have sign-ups or something with you or something like that. So.
I have a question.
Anita?
I started making notes, but you were faster than I could write. So going all the way back to the beginning, to get the Shvana and the Shvanach without assigning macros, how did you do that?
Alt 7 or Alt 8.
That's the one that I actually did.
Which is which, Sharon?
Alt 7 is for the Kamatz Katan and Kamatz Gadol, and Alt 8 is for the Shvana and Shvanach.
7 and Alt 8. Great. Thank you.
Other questions?
What version of DavkaWriter are you using here?
7.
7, okay.
And I see here that there was a question about what is a Shvana, but I think we addressed that. Okay, other questions?
I have a question. Is there no way to get the titles of the in the text that they give you, the Torah text or whatever they're giving you, everything is in Hebrew. The table of contents is in English, so you know you can go to Shachri, boom, you can go there. But there's no other way to determine where you are in the text except you have to know the Hebrew and read all the way through it. So in other words, for anything, so let's just open up Shachrit, for example, and then it has there's no way to understand where you are in the text, Shema and its blessings, unless you know Shema Uvracha in its Hebrew. There's no English. There's no other way, or is there a different version that might make that easier for us to? I love, by the way, the jump to thing that you did using Afar. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
But there's no other way to determine where you are in the text other than reading through the text. There's no
not that I'm aware of. I think they assume you know enough Hebrew to work with it.
And I do, but it would certainly be faster if I could just type in, you know. So.
Well, but the way that I do it is I would just type in Shema.
Right.
And then I you know, and you can do it within the, so let me just share the screen again real fast. So let's say I wanted to go to the Siddur, and I open up Mariv. So let's say I want to do Adon Olam. I can go edit, find next, find replace, find previous, or find in files. But I want to find it in this file, so I'm going to do find replace. Let's say I want to find Adon Olam. So
it's the last thing in the Siddur. So
right, but if you don't know the order.
But what's this E option? Is that find it in English?
No. If I want to find, I'll show you in a second.
Okay.
Did I spell Adon right, or is it with an
With an
aleph?
aleph.
With an aleph.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to search my text, find next. Adon L'chol, not the one I want. Adon HaKol, not the one I want. I guess they don't have Adon Olam in here.
You could always put the whole phrase Adon Olam.
Right, but they don't have it as part of this Mariv, I guess.
Right, it's not in weekday Mari.
Right, I'd have to go elsewhere. Okay, so Susan, what you asked, okay, if I have a document that has Hebrew and English in it, then if I want to go again to find or replace, that's when I would use the English.
Okay.
I press the E and I want to find the word dust, since I was doing that word anyway. So I'm going to find the next, and there it is.
But that's only if you have a document that you've created that has English in it.
Well, or if you have a document that's already been created that's not yours. If you want to search a document, you can search in English or Hebrew.
Okay.
But you can't search a Hebrew word by transliteration.
Got it.
You have to type the real Hebrew word.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody wants the reform text changes for things like Yevurot and wherever else we change, Avot V'Imahot, wherever we change those texts, I've already typed all of that. So anybody who wants, just ever ask me.
Can you search for a word with a trope, specific trope on it?
In other words, if you wanted to find the shalshelets, is there a way to search for that?
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware. And let me just show you something in case you don't know it. In this same guy here, accents. If I'm typing in Hebrew, I can add the trope this way.
Mm-hmm.
Or a meteg.
Well, the meteg is here. They have an upper meteg and a lower meteg also.
Jackie, you can find that on Google, just saying.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, that's not the meteg. Meteg.
Actually, I was looking for a specific word that had an etnachta. So if you're looking in somebody's, your student's parsha, I'm looking for, I don't know, Moshe with an etnachta.
No.
There's no way to search that way that I'm aware of.
But you can search by the word Moshe, and every word
Yes.
that Moshe with their trope would come up.
Right.
Right.
Thanks.
Or you can Google it.
And if you haven't played with these styles, the one I use the most often is the caps, is the small caps. Let me show you what that does. I use it for translations of prayers, often not in this document, but let's say I can, there are faster ways to do this, but style. So let me do it in a font that would make it look a little bit better. Well, let me make it 12. So if this for transliteration or for the translation is a very nice change of style of font. There's quite a bit more in here working with tables. I also recently got something called Master Teacher, and it allows one to make crossword puzzles, matchups, multiple choices, quizzes, and study sheets. I haven't played with it a lot yet. It's not intuitive and it's not easy to use, but again, it exists, it's very inexpensive. And if you're not aware, there are some templates in here. If you go to File, Open, what happened? Oh, I closed it somehow. Okay, so if you go to File, Open, oops, New from Template. Here are the templates that they have in here in case you're not aware of it. So if I wanted to do a bar mitzvah card, okay, so I'll do a 4-panel bar mitzvah card. It's got a pretty little thing here, and you can completely personalize it.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that's there too, if you want.
Oh, this is in newer.
This is in Davka 7. It's just new from template.
Okay. Here we go.
You can also create your own templates.
I see. I got it.
Okay. So it is
Wow.
2 o'clock. See, Robbie, you said I wouldn't get through all of that.
Well, you got through it. We just, if we could have stopped you every time we had a question, it would have been several hours, I think. That was amazing, though. And I look forward very much to going back and slowing it down a little bit, stopping and, all that. Because I literally was trying to play with Davka.
Well, if somebody takes notes from what I did, share it with everybody else.
That would be wonderful. And you said you had a document to share with us as well?
I had some stuff written down, but it isn't all written down.
But that's okay.
I'll share what I do have.
That'd be great. And when I post this on our Facebook page, as well as on our WCN National Knowledge YouTube channel, we have our own channel.
You can press unrecord now because we don't need to have this on there.
This is correct. So, when I do all that,